Based on mountains of research, scientists have identified two types of dietary patterns: the unhealthy Western diet pattern, high in red and processed meat, fried foods, high-fat dairy foods, refined grains, sweets, and desserts. Does this sound familiar? If so, ouch. It pretty much describes the diet of too many Americans and those who live in westernized countries. By contrast, a healthy or prudent pattern includes lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, fish, poultry, and low-fat dairy products.
By now you've learned all about fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and the science is pretty clear. Eat more of these foods and you'll reap health benefits. These foods should cover about 75% of your plate at every meal. But what about meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products? Well, the science on meat and dairy is not quite as certain, but the best available evidence suggests that these foods should be eaten sparingly. Meat from cattle, sheep, or wild game such as deer and elk has been directly linked with several chronic diseases. You can add to this list processed meats such as hot dogs, sausage, bacon, and bologna. Unfortunately, many Americans eat more meat than they should, and this causes all sorts of health problems.
On the flip side, red meat is a good source of iron, minerals, protein, and some vitamins. It can be prepared in unlimited ways, and it has a taste that makes it an American favorite. It's no surprise that red meat is one of the most heavily marketed foods in America. But the findings of all research on red meat can be summarized in one simple statement: red and processed meats probably increase the risk of heart disease and colorectal cancer. So do you even need red meat in your diet? No, you don't. Lots of people don't eat it at all. But you can have a healthy diet if you eat red meat. You just don't need very much. Here's what moderation looks like. This is one serving of meat, about the size of a deck of cards. For burgers, it's about the size of a hockey puck.
Remember the prudent diet? Poultry, eggs, and fish were recommended when eaten in moderation. So what about eggs? They do contain cholesterol, but that doesn't do much to the amount of cholesterol in your blood. Most cholesterol is produced by your body in response to the fat you eat. So, eating eggs really doesn't impact cholesterol levels. Scientific studies of egg consumption on health have failed to put eggs on the do not eat list.
So what if you cut out meat, eggs, and dairy altogether and become a vegetarian? Many have, and they love what happens to their health and weight. They feel good about protecting animals and the environment. Vegetarians are healthy, but you don't have to be a vegetarian to benefit as long as you eat meat and dairy in moderation. For example, a large study of a religious group who mostly lived a vegetarian lifestyle showed that compared to those who ate no meat, those on a low meat diet actually lived a little longer. But bottom line, both diets can improve the length and quality of your life.
What about dairy products? A dairy product is one that includes milk as a primary ingredient, such as cheese, yogurt, or ice cream. Hundreds of studies have been conducted on the benefits of dairy consumption, but many have been funded by the dairy industry. This raises questions about the accuracy of these findings. So, does milk really make strong bones? Dozens of studies have been conducted on the dairy food impact on bone health. Barely half showed that eating dairy foods built stronger bones, and the rest showed no effect or that dairy intake reduced bone health. So with supportive evidence from just over half the studies ever conducted, the dairy industry quickly told the world that milk does a body good.
It is no surprise that research was used to create marketing spin. But here's what you can learn from all research about the impact of dairy intake on health. Most research has compared the differences in chronic disease rates between those who consume high and low-fat dairy foods. High-fat dairy foods are included in Western diets and are related to a higher risk of chronic diseases. Low-fat dairy foods are included in a prudent diet and have a lower risk of many chronic diseases.
Why is this the case? Well, high-fat dairy foods have more saturated fat, which increases the risk of heart disease and stroke. On the flip side, consumption of low-fat dairy foods comes with a lower risk of heart disease and stroke. A diet that includes fruits, vegetables, and low-fat dairy products can also reduce blood pressure, which is known to cause heart disease and stroke. This chart shows the trends of higher and lower fat dairy consumption over the past 90 years. It looks like the message has been getting out. Clearly, lower fat dairy products are generally the healthier choice.
Here's a quick review of what you just learned. The best available evidence indicates that red and processed meats increase the risk of heart disease and stroke, and may be linked to colon cancer. Meat should be eaten sparingly. Vegetarians or light meat eaters can both receive health benefits. Fish, poultry, and eggs can be part of a healthy lifestyle. Lower fat dairy products are healthier than those higher in fat. Following the prudent diet pattern will improve your health. You got this.